The indescribable pain of two families brought together in circumstances no parent would wish for. Their grief still so very raw as they came together to remember Barnaby Webber and Grace O'Malley Kumar. On this intense summer's day, thousands of students and staff gathered at a vigil on their university campus to pause and reflect and listen as their fathers spoke of their loss.
I've lost my baby boy, and I can't even comprehend how I'm going to deal with it. Myself and Emma and Charlie and all his family and friends. Well, I know Barney would be super touched by everyone that's here, and he loved it. He loved it here. His heart will be with you guys forever.
All of you guys, everywhere that I see of people. Such a lovely sign of the university and the bond you have. Grace was also like Barney, she loved coming up to Nottingham. Look after each other. That's the big thing, is that look after your friends and look after people around you. This is so important.
Grace had dreamt of becoming a doctor. Barnaby was a talented young cricketer studying history. And today the third victim was named as Ian Coates, a school caretaker just months away from retirement. His family described his death as having rocked their world. Today we learnt new information about the suspect's movements in the minutes before he killed Mr. Coates and stole his van. We've learnt that before the attacker stole the van, he tried to break into one of the flats here through that open window. This is a shelter for homeless people, and he managed to get his head through before he realised that he'd woken the resident up. The incident is captured on CCTV. This is the dramatic footage. The suspect, dressed in black, tries to climb through the window before the resident sticks his arm out and pushes him away. The resident told this programme that the suspect was asking if this was a hospital. It's understood he was known to the police because he has a history of mental illness, and this is now a major line of inquiry. He eventually gives up and walks off, turning right in the direction of Magdala Road, where Mr. Coates was killed. Alex Pridmore, a trustee here, told me it wasn't clear if the suspect was familiar with the hostel or whether it had been an opportunistic attempt to break in. It had understandably left residents shaken.
It's made the vulnerable residents, some of them, a bit more concerned, especially given that something so horrific happened so close.
After the third killing, the suspect tried to run 3 people over in the van. The attack ended here about a mile away when the police tasered him. Abandoned next to the van, the rucksack he was seen carrying in the video footage. There are so many questions for the families and friends of those he attacked, including 2 teenagers whose potential was so senselessly stolen. From their families, this message of love and unity.
You need to be friends with everyone, and you need to love everyone. We have children who were taken away prematurely from us. That should never happen to any parent. But all I can say to all of you guys is that thank you for things you did for our daughter and Barney. And look out for each other. Thank you.
And Darshan's with me now, another extremely difficult day for this city.
What an incredible and moving message from the 2 families, Jackie. It left many of us who were listening close to tears, how they managed to stand up and address the crowds in the way that they did, with a message of love and unity. They have had to try and come to terms with the loss of their children, and they were children on the cusp of adulthood. And the third victim was on the cusp of his retirement. He should have been spending more time with his family over the coming months and years. Their loved ones have had to try and make sense of the senseless, and detectives are trying to piece together the motives of the attacker. Now today, people at that homeless hostel that I mentioned there in my report told me how shaken that they've been left. They say that the suspect seemed incredibly disturbed when he tried to break into that resident's house. Detectives say they're keeping an open mind. There's been a lot of speculation today online about the involvement of counter-terrorism police. But the East Midlands force here, Nottinghamshire Police, have told me that they are still working with counter-terrorism police. They are still trying to establish the motives of the suspect. They still have time to question him. He's still in custody. And so we should learn more over the next few hours and days.
Darshna, thanks very much. Well, as we've been hearing, hundreds of students turned out for the vigil that was held here at the University of Nottingham, including family, friends and acquaintances of both Barnaby Webber and Grace O'Malley Kumar. I spoke afterwards to Finlay Peters and Emma Pearce, who knew Grace and were on the same course as her.
Words can't describe a person like Grace. I think there are so many things you could say, like she was talented, sporty, just hilarious, like fun. She's just amazing. I don't think words can put a limit on what she was like as a person.
Yeah, incredibly smart.
Yeah.
Brilliant personality, very bubbly. It's a big shame that she's gone.
What went through your head when you heard the news?
I think I heard about like around 2 p.m. and it came from some friends, and I was like, no, like a different Grace, like no, it's not her. And they were like, yeah, and I was like, no, it can't be. Like she must have got him safe. I think when I heard about what was going on in Nottingham, I didn't think it would be a student, let alone someone that we knew and saw weekly and everything.
Yeah, I was shocked as well to think that I was walking home only 5 minutes away at the same time, exactly when that was happening. I had no clue at the time, woke up the next morning, and that's the first thing I saw on my phone.
You were walking 5 minutes behind her on the same road in the same area?
Sort of a road that branches off from it, so
yeah.
It would probably taken me 5 minutes to get from where I was to where that was happening at the exact same time. It's shocking to think that could have been me and my friend that I was with instead of Grace and Barnaby.
And everyone was out because it was the end of term, the exams had finished?
Yeah, everyone was out. I think a lot of people went out on Monday, and so a lot of people, would have been walking back or leaving clubs earlier and walking back earlier and things like that, so it could have happened to anyone.
I mean, how do you make sense of it? Can you make sense of it yet?
Yeah, I was going to say you can't make sense of it just yet. I think it's going to take a long, long time, and I think for the whole community of Nottingham as well, and like other people, even if they didn't know her, I feel like it's changed everyone's perspective on Nottingham.
Do you feel afraid now in a way that perhaps you didn't before?
Yeah, I'll always get an Uber now. Like I'll never walk back by myself. Or like she was with she was with Barnaby, of course, and so she was with another person. You would think it would be fine, but I think it definitely changes the way I'll think.
The vigil was incredibly beautiful, but very hard to be at, very hard to watch.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing that so many people from all across the uni, the community, people that both knew her and didn't know her, and Barnaby, of course, showed up. It was a real sense of community, and I think everyone was just wanting to pay their respects because this is going to affect everyone here.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I think it was beautiful to see like the family, and I can't even begin to imagine like how they're feeling. But I think it was so important to have, and it was nice for everyone to come together.
Incredible to hear the fathers who have only learned they'd lost their children yesterday, to hear them speak.
Yeah, I mean, like we knew Grace, but we didn't know Barnaby. We didn't know them for 19 years. Like they didn't. We didn't see them grow up and change and things like that. And so I can't even begin to imagine how they did that.
Yeah, it must be so difficult. When I told my parents about what happened, they said that could have been you. So that could have been my family standing up there today, and I don't know how they would have coped with that. So it must be incredibly difficult. I can't begin to imagine what they're going through right now.
Huge amount of love shown for them today, though.
100%. I don't think that there couldn't be more love and like pain that what people are going through for them.
They would have touched so many people's lives. So yeah, it's really saddening.
Well, shortly before we came on air, I spoke to the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Nottingham, Professor Shira West, who paid tribute to Barnaby and Grace at today's vigil. I began by asking her about what the university is doing to help students through this very difficult time.
Well, we are putting on, we have a lot of wellbeing and mental health support services anyway. We have a chaplaincy, and we are putting more resource into that for this period, focused particularly on how students are dealing with their feelings about all of this. We have helplines, both for students and staff, and we are just doing everything we can to help them work through this. But naturally, people are going to be worried and a bit traumatized by what has happened.
I mean, that issue of worry, we've spoken to students who, perhaps for the first time, do not feel safe here. What are you saying to those students? What can you say to them?
Well, I think, again, as I mentioned before, from everything we know, this was a random act. It's not what the City of Nottingham is all about. We are putting on extra security. We're working with the police. We're trying to help people feel comfortable in their local communities during this period of the immediate aftermath. But I do think we want to work with students to help them understand more about safety, help support them in their communities, and we're just doing what we can.
And are the police talking to you directly about those safety issues?
Our security services and the police have been absolutely magnificent in what they've achieved in the last 24 hours, and I just want to pay tribute to them as well.
How do you see the next few days and weeks unfolding? Obviously, students are supposed to be finishing.
Yes, the exam period is pretty much over. A lot of students have already gone home. Students will be going home to their families. I think it's going to take everybody a long time to process all of this.
Difficult for you and the rest of the staff too.
Well, absolutely, and I think, you know, I think we are a very supportive community, but I don't think any of us underestimate how difficult this is going to be for the university for the coming few weeks.
And as you say, these two students, much loved by many people, that is obvious today. Do you think longer term there may be a plan to try and remember them in a particular way?
We often do that with students who have tragic deaths while they're at university by tree planting or other forms of memorial. I'm sure that we will be considering what we want to do for Grace and Barnaby.
Shira West, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you very much.